And looking over here how much of material is here, it looks overwhelming. But I need to start somewhere, yeah? User interface. Okay, so splash screen, that I know. Blender's interface is separated in 3 main parts. This is actually, I find this efficient way. Read and actually pick the references from while reading. Don't select text, I just want to grab the edge of the browser like this. I hope this presenting this way with Windows Magnifier works well for all of us. So you can read. I was zoomed in. If I zoom out, this is how it looks. This way. If you're not watching in full screen, it would be probably that's sometimes the issue with many tutorials online. It's hard to see the full screen elements, details. So I made my cursor larger. I've set up left right click to highlight. I even have this little helpy thingy to point out the section. And so on. So Blender's interface is separated into 3 main parts. Top bar consists of the main menu, which is used for saving, importing, exporting files, configuring settings, rendering, among other functions. Areas in the middle, which is the main workspace. Areas in the middle, which is the main workspace. The status bar at the bottom, which displays shortcut suggestions and relevant statistics. Cool. I'm going through this basics to get on the same page with terminology. If I try to do some more advanced things, if I don't understand what the term means, it's not useful. So what I'll do now, I'll try to get both of my screens, both of these things aligned, so that I can have this thingy here on the right and this thing here on the left. Okay, on this page we don't need that section that collapsed. I'll see if I can work with this like this, or even like this. So I can just click now next. And how much can I squeeze the Blender itself? So they're side by side, and if I zoom in, zoom out, zoom in, even more. I think this is cool now. So each of the sections are not super large. It's less than a full page of text. So on the side panel, it appeared like there is quite a lot of it. Like full page, there are so many headings, titles, links, but it's actually just this much. 1 paragraph, 2, 3, 4 paragraphs with 2 large images. So next Next link on to next shows the right away the splash screen. So this will be worth spending time going through. It's not super. It's not that there's overwhelming amount of reading material, and I'll read it out loud for you. I do this to encourage, just to get that first initial weight, the like fear, like, oh, it takes too much time. Yes, everything takes time. That was the initial idea. Why get online to learn things and then we spend too much time just watching new content, but still not learning or being productive. And we try to try the shortcut, find a shortcut in some video. Okay, this will help me learn some. No, until you start doing it, investing your time, focus on what you're up to, away from infinite feed of new content, then we can start learning. I'll go back just to make sure that I read this. So customization, I might just skip this, but it's actually also good to learn the terminology. Blender makes heavy use of keyboard shortcuts to speed up work. These can be customized in the key map editor, so that's what the key map editor is. Theme colors. Blender allows for most of its interface colors to be changed to suit the needs of the user. If you find that the colors you see on screen do not match those in the manual, it could be that your default theme has been altered. Okay. Creating a new theme or altering a pre-existing one can be done by opening the preferences. Okay, that's in the preferences on the themes. Accessibility. Blender has several options for visibility customization, including resolution scale and the ability to load custom fonts. These settings can be configured in interface preferences, splash screen, next one. I'll just grab a sip of water. I'm talking now for almost an hour, 50 minutes. When starting Blender, the splash screen appears. I will try to like a cache before I read out stuff. I'll try to speed browse this. Hey guys on Trovo, how crowding up on Trovo? That's a bit unusual for my experience in the past 10 days. Shout out to David Salak, A7 Mad Joe, Uniside, welcome. And back to this thing, I'm here, so splash screen looks for each version of Blender differently. To close the splash screen and start new project, click anywhere outside the splash screen but inside the Blender window, or hit escape. So that's the splash screen. And starting Blender for the first time or updating to new version, the interactive region contains a quick setup process. Splash image is the like a fancy way they say, oh look, this is now, but this is done with the new version, that's why we did it. The interactive region is at the bottom of half of the splash screen. So if I restart the Blender. Even if I just say here new, general, I was hoping maybe to get another a second instance of the Blender. So this is how I get it. So here's the splash screen, and this is the interactive part, the icons, the links. I'll close this, and I will close this window, because the last window I close will save the state, last state for the Windows used. So I'm hoping that it will remember my last settings position, and so now it goes the full screen. Okay, I'll then just resize it back to suit the zoom, and back to zooming in. Great. Is this too much? Yeah, a little bit zoom out. So about the interactive region, which is this one below. New file, recent file, open. A standard set of options we find on desktop apps and some maybe mobile portable apps. Recover last session in case the Blender crashed or something happened, some failure. What's new? Okay, next. The top bar, Blender menu, splash, open splash scene, about the Blender. The version, about Blender shows version, date, cache, branch, windowing environment. Okay, in case we are on the Linux, it refers to Wayland or X11. Just so we know, just so the users are clear about what they should expect, the behavior, which behavior they should expect depending on what platform is running, Windows, Linux. So about Blender section looks a little bit like the interactive splash screen section. Install application template. I'll have a look at this. I'm curious about this. What's that? What would that be? Application template. So click that link to open it in a new tab. Usage. Application templates are a feature that allows you to define a reusable configuration that can be selected to replace the default configuration without requiring separate Blender installation or overwriting your personal settings. Application templates can be selected from the splash screen, file, or file new submenu. Where there are no templates found, the menu will not be displayed on the splash screen. New application templates can be installed from Blender menu. If you would like to keep the current application template active on restarting Blender, save your preferences. Motivation. In some cases, it's not enough to write a single script or add-on and expect someone to replace their preferences and start a file, install scripts, and change their key map. The goal of application templates is to support switching to a customized configuration without disrupting your existing settings and installation. This means people can build their own application on top of Blender that can be easily distributed. Hey, that's quite elaborate. In more details, an application template may define its own startup file, preferences, splash screen, Python scripts, directory layout. Templates may be located in one of two locations within the scripts, the directory. Okay, this is like a full bundle to, let's say, set up a whole team for the task. It's possible to set up and distribute the Blender to a team members, so they have the same working environment for during the development process for the project. Okay, back to it's good to know, but it's for like more advanced. I'm back here in the manual top bar menu section, file menu, about Blender. I clicked OK, install application template. So where is that? Animation, shading, help, tutorials. So I've squeezed quite a bit my screen. File, templates, help, tutorial, support, window. So I'm reading the manual, but I'm not actually following where this is. Splash screen, install application template, Blender menu, back to top, menus, file and the rendered window, help, Blender menu, splash screen, about Blender, so is that template, install template on the, okay, so this is the Blender menu, application icon. Okay, splash screen, about Blender, and here is the install application template, the system. Gotcha. Well, if I didn't take a moment to find that, I would be always curious, what's the Blender menu? But that's the Blender menu, the application icon actually. File menu, the top. The options to manage files are new, open, open recent, revert, recover. Shout out to Vadim, popping up over there on Trello. Welcome. So we are in the file menu section. Save as, the traditional standardized section, then the link, which is here. Links data from external blend file library to current one. Okay. The editing of the data is only possible in the external library. Okay, so you can link it and edit it outside of the project. Appends data from an external blend file to the current one. The new data is copied from external file and completely unlinked. Data preview tools for managing data block previews. I'll just check about the The stream health, is everything in order? Okay, check done. Where was I? Data previews. Now we are still in the file menu section. Have it open. Oh no, it goes away. Then the import export sections. Export all collections. Okay, invokes all configured exporters for all collection. External data like texture, images and other resources can be stored inside the blend file. I need to again take a moment away, check something. External data, automatically pack resources, pack all currently used external files into the blend file, and automatically pack any files that are added later. So it's a check option, it's like a setting. Unchecking this option will only stop the automatic packing for new files. It won't unpack existing ones. Okay, that's good to know. Pack resources. Pack all used external files into the Blender file. After running this operator and saving the blend file, the external files will no longer be used. Any changes in them will no longer be reflected in the Blender file. Okay, this is good to know. And you're free to move or delete them. Unpack resources. Export previously packed files back to external ones. You can choose whether to reuse existing external files or overwrite them. Okay, that's like synchronization, almost like a repository management, like something like Git operations, but simplified. Pack linked libraries. Pack data blocks that are linked from an external blend file into the current one. Unpack linked libraries. Export previously packed data blocks back to external. Okay, similar but for the data. Make paths relative. Make all paths to external files relative to current blend file. That's good inside of the projects folder. Make paths absolute relative to system root. Report missing files, find missing files, clean up, purge unused data, opens dialog to remove unused data blocks from both the current blend file or any linked data. Managing unused file. Okay, that's like with OBS, the elements of the scenes, assets, defaults. This menu manages the startup file, which is used to store the defaults scene, workspace and interface displayed when creating a new file. Initially, this contains the startup scene included with Blender. Defaults, okay, that's the default, so I'll a little bit speed this up. Save startup files. Save the current blend files. Okay, restore factory. When an application template is in use, the following operations are shown. Okay, load factory Blender settings, load factory application template name settings. Shortcut to quit, Ctrl Q closes Blender. Edit menu. edit menu, undo, redo, undo history, adjust last operation, menu search, operator search, rename active item, rename tool, okay, rename active item, batch rename, that's cool, renames multiple data types at once, lock object modes, prevents selecting objects that are in a different mode than the current one. This option can prevent accidentally mode changes, such as when you're trying to select a bone in a pose mode to animate it, but instead click a piece of background scenery which would normally select that piece and switch to object mode. So the interaction with the elements in the scene is interactive, so object types change the mode to object mode, from animation to, let's say, some static, depends on the structure. You may want to disable lock object modes, for example, when highlighting weighting rigged objects or sculpting painting, where you intentionally want to switch between objects in different modes. Preferences, render menu. So render image, render image. Come on, keep it open. Render the active scene at the current frame. Render animation, render the animation of the active scene. Render audio, mix the scene's audio to a sound file. View render, show the render window, pressing again to switch back to main Blender window. View render. View render. View animation, playback rendered animation in a separate player. Lock interface during rendering in favor of giving more memory to the renderer. The window menu. New window, create new window by copying the current window, so it's like window clones of the same app. Put it in simple terms. New main window, create a new window with its own workspace and scene selection. So that's like opening, clicking on the app, launching it up and again. Toggle window full screen. Toggling the window can go full screen, I guess, without window borders. Next workspace, switch to the next workspace. Previous workspace. What are workspaces? Show status bar. Okay, on the bottom. Window. Status bar. No status bar. Window. Show status bar back, so it's the one on the bottom. It also shows the input controls indicator, mouse buttons, depending on which mode we are in the app. Save screenshot, capture a picture of the current Blender window, okay. With file browser where to save it. Save screenshot editor, capture a picture of the selected editor, okay, just the part of the app. Select editor by clicking the left mouse button in its area and the help menu. Okay, workspaces. Workspaces. Is that an option or it's a toolbar? So if I go, for example, full screen, just to expand this back to here, so workspaces layout. Where is this workspaces? Modeling, UV editing. Layout modeling, I guess that's the section after the help. So it's in the same row on the top bar, but this is like traditional standard menu items, file, edit, render, window, help, and then the workspaces is this part on the right from the traditional top bar menu options. It's a set of tabs. This set of tabs is used to switch between workspaces, which are essentially predefined window layouts. So layout, I can select. So this is just like a title. It's not a button, it's just a title for this group. So if I click modeling, the workspace changes to modeling, and the work mode is highlighting the object for the modeling tools, sculpting. So we are looking at the workspace for sculpting, and as I move the cursor, the mouse pointer around the object, I can see that the tool for modeling is enabled, and depending what tool I use, I can try, and maybe, well, it's a bit too early. Next workspace, UV editing. So UV editing. Do we have a description what that is here? No. Texture paint. Oh, this is good to know. Texture paint, shading. Can I click shading? Okay, goes a little bit different mode. Shading. This would be shading. Animation. We got on the bottom the animation frames, the timeline, animation timeline down on the bottom. Anything else? So rendering. This is rendering workspace. What else? Compositing. Okay. I'm not sure what that is. Geometry nodes workspace. Okay. Geometry nodes workspace. So also now I'm actually going through all this just to see how will this work well with the scripting. Okay, this is good to know. Scripting is just right sitting in the application itself. And so I also, while I'm inspecting these workspaces, I'm actually now making sure that it will work well with the zoomed in for the presentations for the stream. And it is 1 hour and 15 minutes in the stream. I'll click here next and take a short break. Workspaces. I'm actually glad that I'm taking time doing this way, because it sets the perspective, and I'm learning the terminology for the application, so I'm on the same page with the industry standards, what's expected and what is where, especially when if I go to tutorials, so I don't need to. So I'd actually efficiently learn the tutorial, the lessons from the tutorials. This is an important step, but you might also listen to the official free lesson from that Blender provides in their Blender Studio training materials, which is just the introduction, the same thing I'm going through now in the manual. So this is me, Eddy. I'm your host, loves you most, even you, signing out. Thanks for stopping by.